Hello, everyone, and welcome back to the Robbos Gobcast sports show, the Reading FC version of the podcast. I'm Adam Jones, the guy from the Tilehurst End of the Better Podcast. We made that joke last week, but we'll make it again. And fantastic win today. Fantastic win overall. 3-0. I've been asking for a while now for us to be more clinical and for us to really put teams to the sword, and today was the day we did that. I know the red card helped, but no, just brilliant performance. And once again on the podcast, as we did last week, I have David with me. David, how are you?
I'm all good, mate. All good. Happy with the good result.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and that's the most important thing at the end of the day. It was, again, like Rotherham, like Blackburn, the result was the most important thing at the end of the day, with how competitive the top six is, and that's the only thing we can really say about that, really. But as I as I kind of did last week, and I'll do it again this week, we'll go from the very start of the day to the present time, which is what, 7:10, something like that. I've lost track of time, especially in lockdown, but yeah, you have to bear with me on that one. So when you woke up, obviously think about the Reading game. How did you feel even before the lineup came out?
I felt confident we could get a result today. Always a bit tricky, obviously, the Sheffield Wednesday fighting for their lives and everything down the bottom. A little bit like Rotherham last week, to be honest. But I was still confident that we'd be strong enough to get a result. I didn't think we'd quite get 3-0, but I still thought we'd have enough to get a win. But you just, like I say, you never know in the Championship anyway. So, but I was quietly confident.
So, did you not think we'd get 3-0 because you kind of thought that Sheffield Wednesday would be better, or because of the fact that we'd failed to kill teams off over not just the past few weeks, but the whole season, really?
Yeah, we don't generally tend to sort of hammer teams by 3 or 4 goals, sort of thing. So I thought it might have been like a 2-1 or something. I quite like that score, to be honest, as a prediction, because I know, one, we have got players that can score goals, but two, we can sort of concede the odd goal and that as well. So, and plus, Sheffield Wednesday I thought would have been better, even though they've been on a bit of a bad run. They still got some decent players, and on paper anyway. So I was shocked by the result, but happy. Sorry.
I think for me, I was a bit wary because Darren Moore had only just been hired as their new manager. I think his first game was actually in midweek, and it was a last-minute concession against Rotherham.
Yeah.
And I was wary about perhaps a new manager bounce. Even though they'd lost their last game, it was either going to be a real kick in the teeth and something that kind of brings them down for the next few games, which I think it probably is, or they were going to bounce back straight away. And I didn't think there was going to be anything in between that, to be honest. They didn't even look any good, really, when they had 11 men. But I've got to apologise to Ryan just before I go on, otherwise I'm going to forget, because I sleep texted him at 4:30 in the morning. So people usually sleepwalk, relatives and friends. A lot of people sleepwalk, and for some unknown reason, I sleep texted Ryan last night. I had a dream. I actually remember it, and not a lot of people do. That I was on Zoom to him, and his audio had stopped working, and I was thinking about this because I'm doing my final projects and everything, and I think I kind of remember it, so I must have been at least half awake, and I picked up my phone and I messaged Ryan on Snapchat saying, "Sorry about this, the audio doesn't work, but I'll get it working later on." And obviously he's had no idea what the hell I'm talking about. And and he's obviously been like, "What?" Probably a bit concerned, but yeah, I apologise to Ryan, but I'm pretty sure he'd be happy because there was Super Six. So we do a Super Six league in our group chat, in our Reading group chat, and the Rotherham game, I think it was the Rotherham game, was postponed, and you could get a maximum therefore of 25 points, and he got all 5 25. Yeah, he got all 25 points today, and he's 30. He was like 30th in the world or something. So congratulations, Ryan, for your Super Six, because that's incredible. 5 correct scores completely.
Yeah,
I can't believe that. Honestly, we do a prediction league as well for this podcast, and to be honest, I'm just tempted to give it to him straight away just for that, because that is exceptional. 5 correct scores, but unbelievable. So yeah, apologies to Ryan and congratulations to Ryan if he's watching this podcast. Getting on to the next thing, team news came out and we had a bit of a shock because we hadn't heard that Ajaria was out. So as I asked you last week, with Rinomota being out of the Rotherham game, were you less confident after you still kind of the team sheet and Ajaria wasn't there, or were you still quietly confident?
I was still quietly confident, to be honest. It was a bit of a shock, to be honest, because I hadn't heard anything literally until the team sheet had come out, and that, which, so it did come as a bit of a shock. But I was still confident we had enough on the pitch to do the job. Obviously, T-Mac came in, and Holmes as well. So I wasn't quite sure how the team would set up, but looking at it, I still thought, like I say, we had enough to still do the job. We got enough. We have got creativity as well, even without Ajaria, with the likes of Elise and even Lauren going forwards, and obviously Richards and Yeardom down the flanks, which I think they both did a good job on both sides. So cut a long story short, I think I still felt confident enough that we'd be able to get the result that we needed.
I tweeted out before the game, there's 2 things that I want to discuss. So firstly, maybe unfairly, I said about the medical or fitness department, because we've had so many injuries this season, and not just this season, but over previous seasons as well. And maybe I was a bit unfair on that. But where do you stand on injuries? Like, is it a massive club problem, or because I know inevitably you're going to get more injuries this season because of a more compact fixture list? But maybe my feelings were kind of, I don't know how to describe it, but accelerated or hardened by the fact that we'd had a lot of injury worries in previous seasons. I mean, where do you stand on that? Do you think it's normal, or, I mean, where do you stand on it?
I'm quite frustrated, to be honest, over the last few years, because we've had some really good key players out injured for quite long periods of time over the, at different stages. And it does seem to be one every couple of weeks, or 1 or 2. Well, this week it's been like 3, hasn't it? With Rinomota, Morrison, and now Ajaria. Okay, not out for long, but still missing games at the key time of the season. And so I'm frustrated. Who knows what's going on in the behind the scenes and everything. It's just, obviously, like you've said, there's a lot more pressure on their bodies this season, physical, like 2-3 games a week, practically every other week or so. But it's not just this season though, is it? Like, like pinpointed, it's been a few years now on the trot. I know injuries happen, but when you've got like,
we had like 9 players out at one point in the season. I think it was it Brentford or Luton, where it was around Christmas time where we had 9 key players out. And I mean, I guess perhaps I've been a bit harsh because we've been playing, well, recently anyway, Saturday, Tuesday, Saturday, Tuesday, Saturday, Tuesday. So I kind of understand it. And maybe I've been a bit harsh there because of previous seasons. But I think it's something that definitely we need to kind of have a look at and keep on working on, because it is frustrating, as you say. I think that's pretty much the word for it. So frustrating having so many players out injured. Obviously, I guess we were expecting it this season, but just been unbelievable, really, the amount of injuries, and maybe it's also the fact that Yaku Meite has taken longer to return than we think. I was expecting him to be on the bench by now. I was even expecting him to be on the bench on Rotherham, but as I said last week, and I'll say it this week, if he's not ready, then I'm glad that he's not on the bench. And we still managed to get 3 wins in like 8-7 days. So
yeah, exactly.
So, and that's the thing. The second thing that I wanted to discuss, I mean, you've kind of touched on it. You didn't know how we were going to set up. I thought we were going to set up with 5 at the back. I have to be honest. When I looked at the team sheet, I thought we were going to have Raphael in goal, Yiadom and Richards as the wing backs. I thought we were going to have Mcintyre on the left-hand side, or maybe even in the centre, more on the centre or the left, and then Tom Holmes on the right, and then have Laurent and Semedo and Elise, and then Zhao and Puskás up top. I thought we were going to have 5 at the back, because do you remember the Cardiff City home game last season against Warnock, where we won 3-0 and Puskás scored a brace?
That's right.
We played 5 at the back then, didn't we? And we played Puskás and Zhao up top. I think we had Morris and Mayerscough and Moore in there. Obviously, we've got a completely different 3 now with Holmes, and obviously because Morrison's out injured, we've got Holmes, Moore, and Mcintyre. But I thought we were going to line up that way and still have that real emphasis on attacking with the wing backs. And I thought even if we'd set up there that way, I thought we'd still provide an attacking threat. So did you expect a 4 at the back or a 5 at the back?
I think obviously looking at it when we got like Holmes and Moore and McIntyre, and obviously the 2 wing backs, it was a possibility, it could have been that way, to be honest, because when you've got I wasn't quite sure how. I thought that Richards and Yiadom would be wing backs down the flank, but I didn't actually think that McIntyre would go more central in the midfield, because if I get it right, he went sort of central defensive midfielder, didn't he?
Yeah, he did. Yeah,
fair play to him. He's proved very versatile doing that a few times this year, and but I wasn't expecting that at all. But fair play to him, fair play to Velko for doing that and trusting him, really.
I mean, we usually utilise Oviajaria as kind of out wide on the wing, and that's another reason why I thought we'd have 5 at the back, because then we'd definitely have no wingers. We just utilise our strengths with Yiadom and Richards down the flanks, and then we'd have Laurent and Semedo, and someone's pulling the blind down. Semedo, Laurent, and then Elise in front. I thought it worked out that way, and it worked out absolutely fine in my head. But then, even at the start of the game, the very start, when there was kickoff, it looked like there was going to be 5 at the back with McIntyre on the left-hand side. But it turns out, you're right. Yeah, central defensive midfield did a fantastic job in there, and it was just brilliant. I mean, the way that he just adapted so naturally from centre back to left back to CDM to centre attacking mid to left mid. It's unbelievable how versatile he is. Obviously, his best position, I think, is centre back, where he's been in the academy. But no, he put in a fantastic shift in there. So I honestly thought that he would that he would be at centre back. But just go through the team overall then, and which positions they were in. So Raphael was obviously in goal. Yeard on right back, Richards left back, Holmes on the right hand side of the defence in centre half, with Liam Moore on the left centre. And then we had Tom McIntyre, Josh Laurent, Semedo, and Elise higher up, more advanced. And then we had Puskás and Zhao up top. And I was really excited actually to see Puskás and Zhao. It might sound arrogant of me, but I was so excited to see them against, one of the probably the worst teams in the championship at the moment. We're obviously fifth.
Yeah.
And I thought we'd have a chance to kind of blow them away. And the game started, and I think we started off actually pretty well, even when they had 11 men on the pitch. I think we would. Do you think we would have won still if they'd had 11 men on the pitch?
I would have said yeah, definitely. It may not have been as comfortable as 3. So obviously we had that extra man advantage, so we had a little bit more space to work with. But I still felt, we were creating chances. But okay, fair enough. They were as well. I think I heard, or the one that got sent off actually hit the bar or something. I believe. So they were creating chances as well, but I still thought that we, even with 11, that we'd still have enough to win it, even by 1 goal or something. I just think that extra space sort of played into our hands a little bit with the creativity of Elise and that. So, and Richards as well down that side, and Yeardom as well.
I mean, there was an injury within the first few minutes when Hutchinson went down from a challenge from Tom McIntyre, which was innocuous, really. But I don't think Hutchinson really went in half-hearted. And obviously, McIntyre, like the man he is, went in, full-blooded. And I guess it wasn't even that much of a hard challenge, but he went down in the first few minutes, and then we started to create a few chances. There was a really good bit of play really between Zhao and Puskás, where Zhao had done a little dummy for Puskás to get shot away. So that was quite impressive, and I was really happy with how they linked up today. And as I said, started off well, created a few chances, and looked the better side even with 11 men. Get into the penalty and the red card incident. So I mean, the Sheffield Wednesday have been pickpocketed really. You can't really say anything more complimentary of them. They've just been pickpocketed. It was careless on the ball, and George Puskás has obviously run away with the ball, and the defender has just had to take him down. Do you think it was a red card as well? Because there was actually, in all fairness to Sheffield Wednesday fans, there was a man coming across, but for me, I think it was still a red card.
Yeah, because from what I heard and everything,
Oh, he's got his. You've got your mute button on.
Can you hear me still?
Yes, I can. Yeah.
Yeah, so I had a phone call coming through.
Technical difficulty of the week. We've got to have one. We'll let ourselves have one.
Yeah.
Everyone knows it's ready. It's tea time.
Hello.
What's I forgot where I was now. Puskás.
The penalty in the red card incident.
That's right. Yeah, I believe because it was the goal scoring opportunity. From obviously what I heard and everything, and so I believe on that alone, I would say, yeah, I'll probably go that it was a red. And even if it was the opposite on the other side sort of thing, if it's a goal scoring opportunity, the rules state if it's a goal scoring opportunity, it has to be a red card. So yeah.
But to be honest, I think someone's going to have to explain the double jeopardy rule to me, because I think if you give a penalty, you can't give a red card or something. But I think you'd have to go for the ball, I think is what the rule is. But I'm not sure if that applies just to the Premier League. I have to have a little research into that,
Right.
because that's been the phrase of the season, really, double jeopardy, and teams using that argument against referees. So I'll have a little research into that. But if you were Veljko Paunovic without the arm cast and without the sling, who would you have picked if they do? I mean, if the manager does pick, who would you have picked to take the penalty?
I actually thought Puskás might have done it.
Yeah.
When I first sort of like, I was shocked in one way that Elise took it, because I thought Puskás has got a good record of penalties. I thought, so I thought it might have been him, but Elise is a confident young lad, and like he's had a great season this year. So I'm not surprised in that sense he's taken it, but I probably would have gone for Puskás if I'm honest.
Yeah, I would have gone with Puskás as well. I mean, I would have let Lucas Zhao take it, but you're 0-0. They've just had a man sent off. They're going to put people behind the ball. If we miss that penalty, they're going to put people behind the ball, I think.
Yeah.
To try and get a point out of the game. Even though they're quite a few points away from safety, I think Darren Moore just would have wanted to get his first point on the board and build from there as soon as they went down to 10 men. So if Lucas Zhao had missed that penalty against his former club as well, I think that would have decreased his confidence even more, and we would have found it really frustrating to break them down. And when we go 1-0 up, they're going to have to come out a little bit to try and get a point, because they have nothing really to lose. I mean, at least fantastic penalty, as you said. I mean, put in the corner, sent the keeper the wrong way, and you can't ask for more than that. It was just a really composed penalty, and he might even now become the regular penalty taker. You never know. I mean, I thought it would be Puskás too, and I think he would have scored like Elise did. But great penalty, and then it's kind of the double whammy really for Sheffield Wednesday when they had to take Barry Bannon off.
Yeah.
Put on, I think it was Penny. And I mean, for me, I was surprised because, of course, you're going to have to bring another central defender on. But I thought they would have taken someone else off. I thought they might have perhaps taken for example, a central defensive midfielder off and just had a 4-4-1, like a diamond with Barry Bannon. Maybe more attacking, because he's probably one of the biggest threats.
Absolutely.
I have to be honest, I've been impressed with Barry Bannon over the years when it's come to the Madstat.
So
it was a massive double whammy for them. Were you even more encouraged, like I was, after Bannon went off, that we'd definitely hold on to the lead, or were you still a bit wary?
I thought, obviously Bannon going off, he's one of their main attacking creative players, and obviously him going off left a bit of a gap for Sheffield Wednesday in that respect of creativity. So I was quite happy, and I was probably more confident when he went off, because I know he's got a bit of a decent record against us over the years, and he's always been a player that when I've seen him play like live at the Medeski Light, he's been one that we've struggled to handle from Sheffield Wednesday, basically. And I was even more confident that we'd hold on, and get the points once he went off.
I mean, I could make similar comparisons, really, not ability-wise at all. I'm sorry, Patterson, but I don't think you come anywhere near to Lucas Zhao. But just the comparisons between how isolated they were. I mean, Zhao was exactly the same a week or two ago, and Patterson up there with 10 men especially just didn't look like he was supported at all. No,
Yeah.
he had a thankless task really to do all afternoon, and I kind of felt sorry for him in a way. And people who watched the game will know that he got in a bit of a tussle with Andy Yiadom. It's probably out of frustration. He pretty much rugby tackled Andy Yiadom to the ground when him and Yiadom were going for a challenge, and then I think Yiadom has come back and jumped on him. So it's kind of good that the referee didn't see that, but they had a bit of afters there. But yeah, I did feel sorry for Callum. I think it's Callum Patterson in that way. So, and I thought we looked solid the rest of the first half. No worries really defensively, even though they hit the bar before they went down to 10 men, which was a bit of a fright for us. But maybe that kind of put us into gear even more, because we did start off quite well. So we're at half time. It's 1-0. They've gone down to 10 men. They've taken Barry Bannon off. What would you be saying to the boys at half time if you were the manager?
If I was the manager, I'd just basically say, just go and attack them. Don't get complacent. Don't stand back. Like, we can't, because yes, they're down to 10 men, but sometimes they are the more difficult sort of games to play against when the opposition go down to 10 men, because they sort of they get all like sort of behind the ball. You have to try and find a way and be clever to get through them. So I would have just basically said, keep the pressure on them, keep doing pretty much the same as what they were doing in the first half. Like getting Zhao on the ball, Richards and Yiadom down the flanks, and just trying to cause them a lot of problems defensively. And eventually, which actually obviously happened, the second goal would come, and that would obviously more or less kill the game off.
I think in this game especially, the attack is the best form of defence, I think, is the motto that I would use at time, because I really think it applied to this game massively. If we kept on pressing, then the second goal would come, and it did in the end. Thank God. But I would have been saying to them, get that second goal as soon as you possibly can, because if they get to 1-1 and they equalise, they're going to put men behind the ball, and it's going to be. It would have been exactly the same if we'd missed the penalty. So, or you get the second goal as soon as you possibly can. You have the capability to do it. This defence, the Sheffield Wednesday defence, was there for the taking. Let's be honest. Even with 11 men. So I would have been saying, even though they made that defensive substitution, they're there for the taking. They've got 10 men. Be wary at the back, definitely, and remain solid, but go forward and try and get that second goal. And if you keep on pressuring them, eventually you're going to get that goal, and we did. And it was such a relief as well. I think the second goal for me was probably my favourite of the game, because it was a massive relief. It was well worked. It was Lucas Zhao against his former club, and it was much needed for Zhao, because he'd been looking so devoid of confidence in recent games, even though he'd won. It looked really dejected at times, and it's great that he managed to get himself on the score sheet. It was well taken goal. It wasn't a tap-in either. It was really well taken, and I hope they'll give him that confidence to go into the next game and get another one. And obviously, we've got a week off now, so that's another advantage for him. He'd be worrying otherwise about injuries, but he's got basically a week off now, and a week in training to work on things. So I was really happy with that second goal, and it pretty much from there sealed the game, didn't it? Really, I mean, did you think there was any way back for Sheffield Wednesday after that? I mean, I didn't.
Honestly, no. I thought, once that second goal had gone I thought that would have deflated them, and 'cause obviously the run they've been on lately has been awful. I think they've lost 6 out of the last 7, if I'm not mistaken, or something like that. Anyway,
Yeah.
So going 2-0 down away from home against a team that is fighting for the playoffs and all that, I don't know. I just think, yeah, pretty much the second goal just killed it off. And I was confident that we would go on to get the 3 points after that.
Usually I think that 2-0 is just as dangerous as the 1-0. But considering the fact that Sheffield Wednesday were so far down the table and are so far down the table, and the fact that they were down to 10 men and didn't really look like threatening, I thought the game was pretty much done. Especially at the time we hit as well. That was a killer blow. I don't think there was really that much time for them to kind of get in the game. Even if they, had got one, I don't think they were going to threaten for a second. And to be honest, they didn't even really threaten at all. The best chance they really had was a free kick in the first half. I think it was Windass who kicked the ball into his own player. So I think it just summed up their whole performance today. I feel sorry for Darren Moore because he's got one hell of a job to do. He was at Doncaster in League One, and now he's in the Championship, looking to keep Sheffield Wednesday up. And I've heard things about their owner Chansiri, and it's not exactly promising. Let's just say that, especially with their 6-point deduction as well, and the psychological blow that must have had. So yeah, I did feel sorry, and I said in my match preview, I kind of felt sorry for Sheffield Wednesday, because that 6-point deduction has pretty much killed them this season, both psychologically and in terms of the table, because they're now getting dragged, further and further towards Wycombe Wanderers, who are basically, I would say they're basically gone.
Yeah.
It might come back to bite me at the end of the season. I hope it does, because I want to see another Bucks-Berks derby. But I'm not sure they'll stay up. They did manage to beat us fine though, so I can't insult them too much, because they could just come back and say 1-0, and they have me fair and square. And, but yeah,
I was going to say, and since that game though, it's sort of like the players are like sort of determined that's not going to happen again, and they've sort of just pushed on since then with the last 3 games and results, 3 clean sheets, and so you saying obviously that they come back and say 1-0, and I'd be saying, well, thanks very much, because it helped us push on, sort of thing. So that'd be my sort of answer with that sort of thing. But yeah, it would be nice to see another Bucks derby again next year with fans as well.
hopefully.
But yeah, fingers crossed.
I mean, that League Cup tie against them, I think it was the 1-1, and we won on penalties, was a very good night for the travelling fans. So hopefully we'd see that again, but I can't really think that.
It will be I think it will be difficult for Wycombe to sort of come back and crawl their way out of it. It's a shame, because I like Wycombe, it's just down the road from me, but yeah, it is. I think it's a difficult task for Gareth Ainsworth to come back, or to get Wycombe to get out of it. But I do hope, even if they go down, I hope he stays to try and get them back up again.
I hope so, yeah.
Because that would be such a shame if he wasn't there after doing so well for them, really.
I think they're a good match as well.
Yeah.
I think they both really like each other. So it's the perfect marriage, really, isn't it, between Ainsworth and Wycombe? Obviously, he's played for them before as well.
Yeah, exactly.
I think he was on the team sheet as well, not too long ago. So
right.
He's probably retired full time now that he's taken them to the Championship. But yeah, I totally agree with you. It'd be fantastic to see them stay up. But post Wycombe, anyway, talking about that game just in general, I mean, there's comments after the game for Paunovic that players were crying in the dressing room, and I thought at the time, I think especially because of what happened as well with Luca Zhao getting racially abused, the
Yeah.
manner of the defeat,
Yeah.
our interesting Instagram live. I think the whole thing, it just felt like rock bottom that night. And
Yeah.
I think it was. It sounds strange because we're fifth in the league, when we were fifth in the league and we still are now, but it did feel like rock bottom. And, we were talking like we're in a relegation battle post Wickham because it was just such a poor defeat, to be honest. I mean, even the performance wasn't really up to scratch and up to what we'd expect. So I think that's been a real turning point. The third goal then, which came late on, I'd predicted 2-0 in the podcast, one of the recent podcasts that I did with Mark and Ryan. Was Josh on there? I'm not sure if Josh was on there. I've got a really bad memory, but but yeah, I predicted a 2-0 win for us today. I was confident, and I think Yiadom was pretty much preventing me from getting an extra 2 points, but no, it's for good reasons. So, but Shone Aluko down the left-hand side battled really well, got the cross in, and Yiadom has finished it really nicely. What else can you say about that goal? It was just nice and simple, good play, good finishing, clinical.
Yeah.
What else can you say?
I know, that's it. And I'm not being funny, for Yiadom being a right back and all that, he's not that bad in the opposition box either.
No.
Getting the odd goal. I think I remember him scoring, was it last season or season before, away at Swansea?
Swansea, yeah.
Yeah, bottom corner or something, and got us a point up there or over there, whatever. And obviously he's got a goal today to finish it off with a third goal. So he's pretty much the full package, really, like defensive and attacking wise.
I mean, let me ask you something that has tortured many Reading fans with the tireless debate. It's been basically the Meghan and Harry kind of debate, but a Reading FC version. Do you think that who's better at right back? Do you think Tom Holmes is better at right back, or do you think Yiadom's better at right back? I mean, which one would you have ahead of who on their day?
I truly believe for the overall going forwards and all that, I'd still say Yiadom.
Same.
That's no disrespect to Holmes at all, because I think he's been absolutely amazing, filling in at right back, and he's been, he's grown into that position this year. So I'd be actually happy, well, not happy, if Yiadom got injured again, I'd be happy for Holmes to come in.
Yeah.
Obviously I don't want him to get injured, but I'd be confident that we would still have a decent option at right back with Holmes, even though he is a centre back by trade. But I would pick Yiadom just for his attacking prowess and creating things down the wing and getting crosses in. That sort of pips it for me.
Yeah, I think Holmes as well is much better at centre back, as shown in the last 2 games. I mean, he hasn't been troubled that much, but what he has had to do, he's done very well. And I remember in the first half where he had to clear with a diving header for a corner, and I thought, he was very good at centre back today. So I think I'd definitely have Yiadom in there for. He offered a lot going forward as well, like Richards did, and it just gives us that extra edge really going forward. And I think if we'd had Holmes at right back today, I think it may have stifled our creativity a bit. And Yiadom made things happen today. I'm really happy that he's managed to get back into form. And to be honest, even when he came back straight away, I didn't think that he was bad at all.
No.
But I'm kind of treating you like Mystic Meg here, but do you think that Yiadom has finally overcome his injury worries? Do you think? Do you think he's not going to get injured for the rest of this season?
Wow. With our recent record, who knows?
Yeah.
I would hope so. I'd hope so, because I know Pauno's quite protective of the players that have sort of, recently come back off injuries, and rightly so.
Yeah.
But yeah, I'd hope so that he has overcome it, and we can have a fit and well year done for the rest of the season now, even if that includes the playoffs as well. Because
I think
obviously,
he's managed to shake off his injury worries just from the way he moves and the way he looks. He looks really comfortable out there, and that can only be a promising sign. So, yeah, I hope he doesn't join the treatment room once again. But we'll have to wait and see. So, the players we've got out injured now. So we'll run through the list. I may miss a couple of people out here because it's quite long. But we have no goalkeepers injured, so that's good. Lewis Gibson is.
Yeah.
Michael Morrison is. Avaruna is. Rinamoto is. Ajaria is. Mate.
Yeah.
There must be more, surely.
Swift. Did you say Swift?
Swift. I'm forgetting about John Swift because he's kind of been out for a while now. So I've kind of forgotten. But yeah, that's at least 7 players out injured. So that's a really massive blow, isn't it? But
exactly.
I mean, I haven't really got an update. You'll have to follow Jonathan Lowe and Matt Joy and those people for the real updates on the players, because they'll have the news for you as soon as it comes out. But yeah, I think they're hoping that Morrison will be back sooner rather than later.
I think I heard after the game today, I did just get some updates. I think Matt Joy, I think it was, and that Pauno was hoping that the likes of Morrison, Mate,
Ajaria,
Gibson and Ajaria could be possibly available next weekend.
Mm-hmm.
So
I think they were more hopeful for Birmingham. I think it's not next week, not the midweek coming up, but the one after that.
Yeah, okay.
I think they're probably more hopeful for that. And to be honest, if it takes them that extra game to get back to full fitness and to feel comfortable like Guillaume seems to be, then I'm more than happy to wait that extra game. I think that the players that we did have today, I think they did the job very well. I think we have Nottingham Forest away next week on Saturday, so that will be a tricky task, but we'll have to wait and see. I just hope that no more players get injured. I think there's 3 or 4 games until the international break now, so it's not too full. I think it might actually be 3. We've got Nottingham Forest, Birmingham, and then I think we've got QPR, and then I think we've got the international break and then Barnsley after that, but I'll have to double check. I'm hoping that we have them back as soon as possible. I mean, the one caveat and the one caution to that is the fact that we expected Mate back 2 match days ago, so we'll have to wait and see on that one. But promising news is better than bad news, so I'm going to take that all day long over them being out for a couple of weeks. And if it really comes to it, then they're going to have to use the international break, some of these players to get over their injuries, and that will be a good opportunity for them, knowing that we've played how many games is it, like a game every 3 or 4 days or something ridiculous like that. So but it's good now. I think that the injury worries will now start to ease with the no midweek game next week. So
they've got a full 7 days, haven't they now? So before the next game. So, like you say, hopefully, no game in midweek. They can hopefully recover a little bit over the next week, and then hopefully, even if they're if they're ready to play but not quite to start, then maybe a couple of them on the bench, perhaps Mate or Morrison on the bench to come on later on for a bit of time, just as an example anyway, or even Ajaria even perhaps. But a free week is pretty unusual at the minute, but it's a good thing obviously to sort of look over the current injury status of the club. So
I think our injuries are really starting to show now with the bench and how inexperienced it is. Obviously, it's a very good opportunity for some of the academy players, but you look at that bench, there was Southwood, Estevez, Aluko, Baldock. So those were like the experienced players that we had, and then we had Kamara, Aziz, and I think we might have had Dorset on the bench as well, and Tetek.
That's
Tetek came on. So it just goes to show really that there's still a lot of players to come back. Now, if we had a fully fit squad, then we'd have a lot of good players on the bench. Puskás will probably go back to the bench. If Pounder wanted to return to his other system, so we'd have Puskás, we'd have Baldock, we'd probably have Araruna. We might even have Mate if Poundovic opts for Swift, Elise, and Ajaria as the three. So we might even have Mate on the bench, and then we've got Gibson and Mcintyre and Holmes and all them players. So you've got a fantastic 18 there, but when you start to get injuries, it's a little bit of a problem, isn't it? So do you think we'll ever see a fully fit Reading squad this season?
I hope so. Even if it is just for the last couple of games of the season, it would be nice, because on paper we've got a fantastic squad there. Like you say, the first 18 players, when everybody's fit, the likes of players that you just mentioned there that obviously are not in at the minute, Mate, Swift, Araruna, Ajaria, that midfield is one of the best midfielders one of the best midfields in the league when it's fully fit,
and we'd have Semedo on the bench as well. So you look at that bench and you're thinking, if you're the opposition, you're going to be more daunted. It's going to be a psychological blow to you, knowing that you've got Puskás, Mate, Semedo, Aluko, Baldock, them type of players, those experienced championship players to come up from off the bench. And then if you get a defensive injury, you've got Holmes, Mcintyre, who can do a good job. You've got Estevez in there, who's nice, young and exciting. You've got Gibson in there as well. It's just amazing the amount of quality we'd have in there if we'd had all of our players back. But obviously, this bench today is a symptom of the clear out in the summer, although I think it was much needed, to be honest. I think I'd prefer this as opposed to having players here who probably don't want to be here, players that we rarely play and are probably on quite a fair whack under our man Rongole, who less said about him the better.
That's two swear words in already in that split second. That
I can't argue with you on that one. So so yes, we don't have a midweek game. So what we're going to do, we'll do player ratings. We'll put forward some candidates of the man match, and then I think we'll wrap this up, because hopefully, because they didn't do a podcast on Friday, lazy. Hopefully they do a podcast on Friday and do a preview for the Nottingham Forest game. So let's hope they do that. But let's do some player ratings, some man match nominees, perhaps even some score predictions and lineup predictions for Nottingham Forest, and then we'll wrap this one up. So we'll do player ratings first. We'll do Raphael. I think the 6 for me.
Yeah, I'd go along with that. To be fair, didn't have a great deal to do, did he? Really?
No. what he did do, he was fine with, because he obviously that we kind of passed it about quite a lot, and we really took care of the ball today as well. And obviously he's a key figure at the back, so he passed the ball pretty well. His distribution was fine. There was one moment where he'd passed the ball and it was a bit heavy for Lauren, and that was one heart attack I had with Raphael. But apart from that, I think everything else was pretty much fine. Omar Richards today, I'm going to give a 7 to, because he gave us that he just gave us that extra edge, and going forward, and he's an attacking threat, and I think we're going to miss him dearly. I think it's when now, not if, he goes to Bayern Munich. So I'm going to give him a 7, just for his defensive and offensive contributions. I thought it was pretty decent.
Yeah, I might push it up to a 7.5 if I'm honest. Like you say, he was quite sort of attacking down the line, sort of like tracking back and everything.
I think he's become more important as well because of Ajaria being out, so we don't have that width more advanced. So I think he became more important in this match. So I wouldn't begrudge him getting a 7.5 or anything like that, because I thought he was a really important part of today. I don't think he got. Did he get an? I don't think he got really an assist, but I thought he was still an important part. So 7.5 for you, 7 for me.
Yeah.
Tom Holmes. I mean, usually you'd give players that didn't have a lot to do a 6, but I thought he looked so assured today. So I'm going to give Holmes a 7, because I mean, I saw a stat about him and his passing accuracy, and apparently it was outstanding just looking at it. It was 90%.
He missed 4 passes or something. Only misplaced 4 passes. And the amount of dribbles and so on. I think that was Holmes that I read that about. So yeah, I'd put him as the 7.5 as well.
And we tried to build from the back as well. That's the thing. We tried to build from the back, and because of his passing accuracy and his composure, and credit to the academy, because they get the players to play with the football on the floor. Fantastic today.
He's been sort of doing that, hasn't he? Like most of the season, like he's been trying to get it down on the floor, on the ground, and sort of play. Obviously, we sort of play out from the back anyway for this season and so on with Pauno, but yeah, he seems comfortable on the ball. He's not afraid to get on the ball and look up and see who's in space and all that. So yeah, like you say, fair play to the academy for sort of teaching him and in a really important and good way, really, to put him into the first team. So
Liam Moore, for me,
yes.
I put a tweet out after the game about Liam Moore, and since he's come back into the team, we did lose the first game against Wickham, granted, but we've had 4 games that he's come back. He started in 3 clean sheets.
Yeah.
I mean, 1 goal conceded in over 360 minutes of Championship football. He's led our recovery. He's been solid defensively, alongside 2 centre-half partners.
Yeah.
And he's led by example. And I'm going to give him a 7 today. He did put in quite a clumsy challenge in the first half on the edge of the box, and that could have potentially been dangerous.
Yeah,
but just for the fact, just because of his leadership and the way that he's come in and had a positive influence, he's really backed it up. He's really backed his words up this season. I mean, the thing with Liam Moore in previous seasons, where he was fantastic in the first season he was here, but he always speaks well, and I want him to really back up his words with a similar great performance. And he always speaks well, but I want him to back it up with a really fantastic performance, and he did it today again. Like Holmes was calm on the ball and was a really good central defensive partner, and they really complemented each other well. Moore and Holmes, I mean, they didn't have too much to do, but still what they did do, they did very well. So I'm going to give Moore a 7.
Okay. I was sort of. I was sort of going towards a high 7, like just a bit above 7.5. But like you said, he did have that. He did have the foul, and he got the yellow card, so that probably bump it down a little bit. So I'll go for 7.5 again.
Mm-hmm.
Getting a bit predictable now.
To be fair, no, I mean you're being less predictable than me because you're going slightly above a 7.5. Are you going for a 7.75? Are we bringing out the decimals now? I think you know what. It's our podcast now, and we're going to make the rules for it. So yes, we can have decimals, we can have reoccurring numbers or recurring numbers, whatever they are. Pi, we can have whatever we want. So yeah, I'm feeling that. I'm definitely feeling that. Yeardom, I think for me, I mean Tyler Sten gave him an 8 today, and I mean I wouldn't disagree with them too much on that, but because he got the goal as well, so. I'll probably give him a 7.5 because I don't want to give him too much higher than Richards. I know he got the goal, but I thought both of them were equally important today in terms of the attacking width they offered down the line. So I'm going to give Yeardom a 7.5 today. Good goal, looked assured, looked really comfortable, no worries defensively. And maybe I'm harsh to not give him an 8, but I don't want to give him too much higher than Richards. So 7.5 for me.
Yeah. I probably would have given him the 8, to be honest.
Mm-hmm.
Obviously, he is attacking down the line, as we've spoke about so many times, and his goal as well. I think he took it well. It was a low in the far corner, I think it was.
Yeah.
And that I saw the replay, and I thought it was calm, composed. So that sort of pushed it up towards an 8.
Yeah. Laurent. Now for me, he put in another decent performance today.
Yeah.
Thought he was reliable, but I mean, he didn't do anything to really stand out today. And maybe I'm being harsh because you expect that of him. You expect a really solid performance. So yeah, he did what he needed to do. Was done really well with Semedo in the absence of Real Motor. And I think he gets I feel really harsh, but I think he's going to get a 6.5 today because of how my expectations are of him are sky high. I think I'm going to give him a 6.5, but I thought he was decent again today. It's nothing against him. It's, if anything, a compliment.
Yeah, no, I think I probably agree with that, to be honest. Like you say, you kind of expect it from Laurent. He's been one of the most consistent performers all season. Mm-hmm. And I suppose there's a bit of a quieter game. You kind of sort of a bit shocked in that. So, yeah, I'd agree with the 6.5, to be fair.
Mm-hmm. Semedo, I'm going to give him a 7 today because, I mean, I think he's good and I like him, unlike many other Reading fans. I don't hold him as in higher esteem than Josh Laurent or as high, but I still think Semedo's very useful, and I think he put in a decent performance again today. Again, in the absence of Renamoto, there's a big boots to fill with Renamoto out because Renamoto's Mr. Consistent. So I'm going to have to go with the 7 for Semedo today. I thought he looked really good, I thought he was pretty decent, to be honest.
Yeah, no, I like a bit like you. I like Semedo as well. I think he's a good option to have. Obviously, we've not had Renamoto, but we've got Semedo to come in, and he sort of filled those boots really in that particular part of the field that we've had success from all season. So I'll probably give him a 7.
Yeah.
I felt he was, I felt he had a pretty decent game, and I think I quite like him on the ball as well at times, because he could sort of, bring it forward from the defensive half. And but yeah, going on today, I thought he had a quite decent game. So yeah, I'd say a 7.
I almost forgot about Tom Mcintyre because he's in midfield, and I thought he was going to be in defence. So we'll go Tom Mcintyre next before I forget. Can I really give him less than an 8 today? I mean, I don't want to be biased because he's an academy player or anything, but the way he managed to transition from being a centre back or a left back to central midfield today, I thought he was outstanding. So I'm going to give him a 7.5, but it's quite a solid 7.5. I'm not giving it Tim reluctantly. I think he was absolutely solid, and deserves a 7.5 today. I mean, where do you stand on it?
I was going to go. I was actually going to go quite high, in the sense of 8.5.
Yeah.
Simply because his versatility in this team is absolutely amazing. And today he's gone from centre back last weekend, I think it was, or the other, and he's gone into central defensive midfield this week.
Mm-hmm.
And to be honest, I can't fault the guy, to be fair.
He just looks so comfortable. It looked like he'd been playing there for years. And that's what's impressed me so much with Mcintyre. Straight from the off, he was getting into challenges. Case in point, really, was the thing I mentioned earlier with Hutchinson going down. He just got himself in there. And I think that's also a testament to the academy in terms of getting the ball down and playing it on the floor. And even the way that we played today in terms of really taking care of the ball. We had quite a lot of possession, but we took care of the ball. Our passing accuracy was quite impressive. And Mcintyre, who by trade is a central defender, was a massive part of it. So, I think defensively he was good. Attacking wise, he was decent, and can't fault him today. So, to be honest, I wouldn't begrudge you going for a 7 point for an 8.5 today, because he was just really impressive. But I'm going to stick with probably my 7.5 and save the higher rating for the next player that I'm going to mention, which is Elise or Elise.
Yeah.
I'm going to go with an 8 today. Probably man the match for me, because he came deep. He don't clip that. He did really well. He as I said, came from deep, and always offered himself. He was fantastic penalty wise. He tried to make things happen. Some of his long balls were fantastic. Some of his short passes and intricate little play was really good. And you know what? I just thought he was probably man of the match for me today, because he's had criticism, including from me, since the start of 2021. Compared with his performances earlier on in the season, I hadn't think he'd been as good as he was, but he really responded today, and was probably our only real creative outlet. You look at the rest of the midfield, it was Semedo, Laurent and Mcintyre, and you don't think of them as creators, really. Obviously, you've got Josh Laurent, who can run through midfield with the ball, but he's not a naturally really creative player. So for him to be that kind of sole creative outlet, with Richards and Yiadom as the fullbacks, I thought he did well today, and I think it's testament to him that we were still really creative today and managed to score 3 goals. And I think a lot of that was down to him and his confidence. to be honest, I think probably his set pieces probably downgraded him a little bit, maybe from 8.5 to an 8, because there was still points where his set pieces left a lot to be desired. But I thought overall, it was very good today. So I'm going to give him an 8.
Yeah, yeah, I'd probably agree with that as well, to be honest. Because obviously he's had a bit of a mixed bag of performances this season, and
Yeah,
obviously he's still young, but he seemed to, well, when he's on his game, he seems to sort of take the game by the scruff of the neck, so to speak.
yeah,
And he's got that ability to make something out of nothing, really. That, I think I remember he did a through ball pass for Mate, I think it was, against Bristol City.
Bristol City, yeah.
He's got that ability, and over the last sort of few games, I feel he's got consistently in the team now, and I think that's helping with his performances and his confidence. And yeah, today I felt, from what I saw and heard, he had a bit of, he had a good game, so yeah, I'd go with the 8 as well.
We've been begging for our players to take the game by the scruff of the neck and to really, put the opposition to the sword, if you will. So the fact that he did that today, I was really impressed with him. So yeah, I think he's definitely a man of the match candidate. But we'll come to that after we rate the final few players. So Lucas Zhao today. I mean, what are you gonna give him?
I'd probably give him a 7.
Yep, same.
He had a good game. He got his goal, and I think he's had a bit of a tough time of it the last sort of few weeks. And I believe getting Puskás back with him has helped take the pressure off him. Because I'm not being funny. Obviously, for the majority of the season, he's been the star, dangerous man up front, and obviously he had that injury as well. But I think sort of the last few weeks, it's been showing. I think I mentioned it the other week about how teams, they target Zhao, and then when he's not on form, we don't tend to play as well as we can.
Mm-hmm.
And obviously having Puskás there sort of with him and supporting him, and to be fair to Puskás, he's sort of like in like a new signing sort of thing coming back.
I think carry on.
No, so I was going to say that. So he's helped Zhao sort of, I think, pick up his confidence a bit, and obviously his goal today as well. That's, going forward, that's an important goal, and I do hope that Paunovic does keep the two together, if I'm honest, going forward, because they could be quite a dangerous pairing going forward.
Yeah, definitely. I'm gonna get as I said the same earlier. I'm gonna give him a 7 as well, because the way that he's formed a partnership with George Puskás. Obviously, he's done it before, as we mentioned, against Cardiff last season. But it's been so long since he's been in a striking partnership, and there was obviously he got the assist for the goal against Blackburn, and
That's
today
right.
he did this little dummy, as we mentioned earlier, this little dummy for Puskás to take on a shot, and the fact that he's settled in well with Puskás and worked with him quite well, and been on a similar wavelength, has really impressed me with Lucas Zhao. Even though he hasn't been on kind of the top of his game, he can still be a threat, and he still contributes in his own way, even when he's not getting goals or even assists. he has that physicality to make us a really dangerous side, and his presence alone is worth keeping up there. Hopefully we give him a rest at some point, and hopefully the international break will provide that for him, because I don't see Paunovic dropping him. Definitely not next Saturday anyway, because we've got midweek. So for me, I was really impressed with that. Puskás, I'm going to give a 7 today, because he looked good again, and obviously formed the chance for us to go 1-0 up. He pretty much changed the game for us, really, with his awareness and his desire to get the ball, and ran through, and obviously got taken down for penalty. So he changed the game for us, and I'm going to give him a 7 for that alone. I think some of his hold-up play was really good as well. So, and we've seen a different Puskás this season to last season. I think he's got a lot better, and I think he's even more useful to us, because last season he did score quite a few goals. Let's give him that, in his first season in English football. But he's getting, I think he's a better all-round player now for me, and I think Paunovic has worked with him really well. So I'm going to give him a 7 today. I thought he was decent, and obviously he changed the game.
Yeah, no, I'd agree. I'll give him a 7 as well. I think he's come back, and he's come in the last couple of games starting. He has looked, I know watching the other night, he's looked like a new player, like in the sense of he's obviously had a long time out, and he's determined to show everyone what he can do. And we saw glimpses of it last season.
And against Watford as well this season, when he scored the only goal of the game. So yeah, he looks a different player.
He does, and all the hype, obviously, when we signed him up, and from the European under-21 championships, a couple of years ago, he was like Romania's main man and everything, and he's showing, and he has showed his class in a Reading shirt. And I think the last couple of games, he's shown really, he's like a new signing, really. And to have him with Zhao as well, I think he's better off in a partnership as well than being the lone striker. I noticed a few times in the past he's got a bit isolated when he's been on his own,
especially last season.
Yeah, exactly. And a lot of games he didn't quite get a lot of people get on his back and all that sort of stuff, and which I felt was a bit unfair, because obviously it's his first year in a foreign country and he's still scored goals. But I think now, I don't know, he just seems rejuvenated.
He's definitely improved his overall game, and I think that's the one thing that's really, really impressed me. I think Paunovic has been very good for him, like he has been with a lot of players. So fair play to Puskás for doing that, because he for Paunovic for doing that, because you can really tell the difference this season, between the performance levels and the way that Paunovic has kind of raised expectations. You can see that now. And I think he's been very good. So fair play to Puskás and Paunovic. And I think I'd sum it up in this way: he's giving Paunovic no reason or no justification to go back to one up front. He's now kind of forced Paunovic to play 2 up front with his performances. Obviously, you want to rest Lucas Zhao, but you still want Zhao in that starting 11, because he's always going to be a threat, no matter, regardless of whether he's going to be on top of his game or not. So I think for me, I think it's summed up by the fact that he's given Paunovic a really good selection dilemma. So yeah, I think it can be summed up in that way, and I think it gets a 7 for me. So I think we're going to do one sub, because the rest of them came on too late. Shaun Aluko.
Oh yeah,
looked lively when he came on. Provided kind of the assist he basically made the 3rd goal happen with his run down the left-hand side, putting a decent ball into the box. Obviously, it's a lottery; anything can happen in the box. So put the ball in. It's all he can do really, and even under pressure, he managed to get it in, and it's led to the third goal, which I guess the game was already sealed, but it kind of made sure of the 3 points and just sealed the game and just put that icing on the cake, really. So I think for me, Luca gets a 7 just for his impact when he came on, and he had a really positive impact as well. Even though Zhao went off, we still played well, and that's a good reflection on Luca. So yeah, 7 for me.
Yeah, I was thinking of a 6, to be honest. Because obviously at the sort of like the crossing for the third goal and everything, I didn't find, obviously, because he wasn't on that long, that I felt that I could really grade him any higher. Nothing against his performance. I thought, he seemed lively and that from, and obviously got the cross for the goal. That's really all I could say about it, really. So yeah, that's sort of my reasoning for a slightly lower grade, because he wasn't on that long. I would have liked, well, if he was on a bit longer, I probably would have graded him a bit higher.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's just me.
So the rest of the subs came on too late for me to grade them, because they came on even later than Luco, just for the final few moments. I mean, Tetek was probably on actually a bit longer, but I don't think I'll really grade him. So I'm gonna 20% battery left. There we go. So that kind of tells me now that I need to shut up very soon. But I think with Tetek, Dejan Tetek, Thomas Estevez and Femi Aziz, who came on and made his debut, I think they were on 2. Not enough for me to grade them. But congratulations to Aziz for coming on and making his debut, because that's another academy player who's made his championship debut and probably had a good time in there. Just even if it was for a few minutes, just having that championship experience. Any first team experience, especially in the league, is great for him. And obviously we've seen, I think, Camara make his debut, and some of the other young players like Onen, but we haven't seen Aziz yet in the championship. So for him to come on and make an impact, where he probably wasn't expecting to even be on the bench, a week or 2 ago. Fantastic play. Fantastic play, but fantastic for him to get that experience, and congrats to him, as I said. So we'll go through some of the man of the match nominations. We'll have 3 or 4, as we usually do. I usually say 3, but we usually end up doing 4. So we'll give ourselves a bit of space by that. My first man of the match nomination is going to be Michael Elise, because I think he was my man of the match. Who's going to be a second nominee for you?
I'd like to put Mcintyre in.
Yep, that's what I would have done as well.
Yeah, I felt he had a good game, like I was saying earlier on in the midfield position. So yeah, Mcintyre in.
I'm going to go with my third nominee. I'm going to go with Andy Yiadom, because he looks so comfortable in there and put in a really good performance and got the third goal. So for me, Yiadom gets that third nomination for me. Are you going to put in a fourth? Are you going to throw a fourth name into the ring?
I think I'm going to put in Lucas Zhao, because obviously he's sort of picked himself up over the last sort of few weeks that he's had, and he got his goal, and that sort of swung it for me a bit, and he's a bit of a menace to the defenses as well. So and he caused more grief today, the Sheffield Wednesday defence. So yeah, I'll throw Zhao in there, and
I think that's a really good nominee to have because earlier on some of the earlier Instagram lives, I went with some unorthodox people like Ejaria because of improved performances, and I think to have that unorthodox but thoughtful man of the match nominee, I think that makes it a good fourth candidate. So we have Elise, Yeardom, Mcintyre, and Zhao for the man of the match nominees. We'll have to wait and see who wins that one if Mark puts a poll up there, and if I remember to tell him. Probably not, but we'll wait and see. But I don't think we'll do the kind of predicted lineup for Birmingham because not Birmingham, Nottingham Forest next weekend, because I think we'd probably keep the same, wouldn't we? Because obviously we've got injuries as well that might happen. Between now and Saturday, and it's going to be really hard to predict. Injuries are still quite high, and there's a chance of some people coming back. There's a chance that one or two might even be injured before Saturday in training. Even Paunovic got injured, so you never know. But I don't think we'll do that. Therefore, but what I will do is I'll get your prediction. I think for the Birmingham game. Not the Birmingham game, for God's sake, I keep on saying it. Nottingham Forest, that's the one. I need to get in my head. Nottingham Forest, that's the game. So what are you going to go for?
I'm going to go for a 2-0 win. I believe Pushkas could get a goal, and Elise as the goal scorers.
See, Elise, it might be another penalty. You never know.
Yeah, exactly.
But I think a lot of our fans have been ripping into Bryce Samba as well, the goalkeeper for Nottingham Forest, because he's made quite a few mistakes this season. So we'll see how that one goes down. I went for, I think it was a 1-1 draw. I don't know, for me, I think it's a nailed-on 1-1 draw, but we'll soon see. Hopefully they prove me wrong and get all 3 points. But I'm going to go with a 1-1 for me, especially because we're away from home. It's Chris Hughton, who's a really good manager. So 1-1 for me. I think we'll get on the score sheet, but there's got to come a point where we don't keep a clean sheet, and maybe that will come next Saturday. But you never know. We'll have to wait and see. Hopefully your prediction is right, and hopefully I don't get any points on the prediction league next week, because that will probably mean, hopefully that will mean we've done well and not lost. Hopefully, I think that pretty much wraps it up for this week. Obviously we're not going to be on Instagram live Tuesday or Wednesday because there's no midweek game. What we'll do though is we'll probably be back. Obviously this will be uploaded for you Monday. We'll be back the following Monday with hopefully another win and a review of the Nottingham Forest game. We can only hope. And then we should be back. Even though it's my birthday, I think I might have to do an Instagram live. Even if I have to kind of put my phone up whilst I'm having my birthday cake, I'll definitely do an Instagram live for you on the Wednesday against Birmingham, and we'll run through that game
through the screen. Just send some cake through the screen in that for us.
Yes, I think that's probably what we should do. And you know what? I'm not too against that. So I'll be back on that Wednesday. I think it's the 17th of March, and I'll be back then because I enjoy doing Instagram lives. It was a really good experience actually last Tuesday. Against Blackburn Rovers, there was some really good comments in there, and what I did was I shut off the comment section for quite a while, shut off the request to go live, but kept the Q&A box open, and it worked actually really well because I was able to get your guys' comments on the screen as well, and there were some really good questions in there and some good comments, and without you the Instagram lives wouldn't be anywhere near as good. So I'm grateful for all the comments and all the questions. And I might continue with that policy because it seemed to work really well, as I said. But before that, we should be back next Monday, hopefully, with a win at Nottingham Forest against Chris Hughton. You never know. We got a 2-0 win last time. Hopefully, we'll get another one. But it's a midweek break now for Reading, and then we go to the City Ground to East Midlands around that time. David, thank you very much for coming on again.
Thank you very much for having me. Thank you.
And thank you guys for watching as well. We will see you guys at some point probably on Monday, hopefully, and hopefully with another win. But fantastic win today, great performance. We took the game by the scruff of the neck, and you can't really ask for more than that. So thank you guys, and peace.